Hello, everybody. Good morning. Hi, all.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah, you're able to see my screen, right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Uh, so today class is how to create the supplementary domains as well as subject element data set. We are going to discuss in today's class. Okay. So we have generated the SDTM demographic data set yesterday's class. In today class, how to create the supplementary domains. Okay. Yeah. So supplementary domain process is similar to across all the domains in any therapeutic area. So once you created one supplementary domain, so the same process will apply for all the supplementary domains for all the SDTM data sets. Okay. So whenever you want to create a supplementary domain, so first you need to open the supplementary qualifier data set. What are the variables are they mentioned in the supplementary? All the supplementary domains, you can see only these 10 variables. These are all the required or expected. There is no permissible variables. Okay. So study ID, R domain, U sub J ID var, ID var val, Q num, Q label, Q val, Q origin, Q val. So these are the 10 variables you can see in any supplementary domain. So we are going to include the information based upon the data sets. Okay. So here yesterday we have created the DM domain. In the DM domain, so let me open the CRF. So some variables we thought here. So this race variable we have included in the but in the main domain, but the race other was race other specific race. It was not included in the main domain as per the CDISC standard. Because whenever we have so pre-specified information, they so we can include in the main domain, but specific race other, that means the but so the investigator has written some specific race that was not mentioned in the protocol. So these are all the races. We already having the information, even other also we included. So if possible, but this race other, this information was not included in the main domain because so as per the CDISC rule, race means only the races we included. Okay. So this race other information also required, but this was not fitted into the main domain. So in that cases, we can create the supplementary domain of this domain, and we include this information into the supplementary domain. Whenever we come to the article, we simply transpose the supplementary data set and merge back to the main data sets. Okay. So how to create this supplementary data set? Which variable you want to include in the main domain? So what do you do? So just keep this variable, this race other. Okay. So race other also we keep into this here. Okay. Main domain, and just keep here as well. Okay. So but in the final data set you drop, because as per the CDISC rule, what are the variables we mentioned in the final data set, only those variables only we keep. So we drop this variable. So now what happened at the final data set, we removed this variable, but up to this final, you can see that extra variable. Okay, what are the variable you want to keep into the supplementary? So that variable was there in the final data set. So this data set you can use the source for the supplementary data set. Okay, so SUPPDM. So no need to create any separate program. So main domain itself we can write the supplementary domain. Whenever the main domain was updated, automatically supplementary domain also updated. Okay. So data SUPPDM. So which data set you are using? Source final. Okay. So here what are the variable we need to include? First one study ID. So already the study ID there, because the main domain we have study ID, right? That study ID you can take here. And next R domain. So which related domain is DM only. So R domain. Next U sub JID. U sub JID also we can simply copy from there. And here the ID var and ID var val. So simple ID and ID var val. So whenever we have some sequence number is present in the domain, so that time only the ID var and ID var val was we can map. Otherwise we can keep it as missing for the TM domain. Some other domain, if you are creating the what supplementary data set, so that time you can create sequence number was assigned to the ID var and ID var. Okay. So here, so in the DM, we don't have any sequence number. For example, here, uh, so for example, if you are creating the adverse event supplementary data set, there is a sequence number here, right? So in that cases, okay, in that cases only this ID var and ID var val variable we can use as a sequence number. Okay, so this variable you can create as a AE sequence, and here you will write like this. Okay, in case of supplementary adverse event. Okay, so and for example, if you are creating the CM, so CM sequence you have to use. But in case of DM, so there is no DM sequence variable is available. Why? Because sequence variable generally we created if the subject has more than one record. But the DM we have only one record per subject, right? So that is the reason here ID var is missing, ID var val is missing. So these are the expected variables only. So some variables, observations missing also no issues. Okay. So here also you can see sequence ID or group ID related information you have to put. So whenever you are creating apart from the supplementary DM, so you can check the parent domain. If you have a sequence variable, that sequence variable information you need to map here. Okay. Just remember this one because this is the interview question they will ask you. So why the sequence where ID var and ID var were missing in the DM supplementary domain? Because there is no DM sequence variable is available in the parent domain, because DM containing only one record per subject, more than one record per subject cases. Generally, we create the sequence number as per the CDISC rule. So that is why ID var and ID var were missing, because those are expected variable only. So expected variable, that variable observation missing also not a problem. Okay. Yeah. So next QNAM, Q label, QVal, next Q origin, Q evaluate. Okay. So this Q origin and Q evaluator nothing but, for example, where it is coming from. The information is origin from CRM. Okay. So if any investigator is information present, you can keep it as a investigator information. So otherwise keep it as a blank because evaluator also expected variable. Okay. So here there is no investigator information is available in the DM main domain. So that is why we keep it as a missing. Okay. So investigator information is available. So keep that investigator related variable here. Okay. So this is thing. Now these three variables are many important. So which variable you want to keep. So which variable you want to keep, that variable you can map to the value, Q value. Okay. So this label is there, right? So this text you can map here, and the label of this variable, okay, you can take from here. Otherwise, so in the raw variable we have specific other. So you can copy this one and you can add here. Okay. So now QNAM, Q label, Q1, Q origin, Q just run. Now the supplementary DM you can see. So this is the information. So the important variable here is if two were not equal to missing, instead of keeping all unnecessary variable, only what are the variable having the supplementary information, only we can keep that two. So these two subject having the specific other race, so we can keep. So for example, more than one variable you want to keep into the supplementary domain, simply you can write output. Okay. So again, you just copy this information and put here. Okay. So for example, one more variable you want to keep, for example, this. Okay. So CBP related variable you want to keep into the supplementary. So this was going to other domain, but for example, okay, CBP also you want to keep. So simply you can map this CBP here. Okay. Here CBP, and the label of the CBP, this one. Yeah. Simply you put the out. So CBP variable we are not keeping CBP, and in the DM also we keep the information here, and that was not needed in the main domain. CBP. Now you can see the supplementary. Yeah. So one subject having the CBP information as well. Okay. So likewise, n number of variables you want to be included, just drag those variables up to the final data set, and that data set you can use as a source for the supplementary, and you have to apply the variable and information as per the CDISC group. Okay. So any truncation issues you can see, for example, here. So as in the label. Okay. So length of this variable, length of Q label, Q name. So most of the times we will give 200. You can see there is no truncation. So likewise, any supplementary data set, we can follow the same process. Okay. So what are the extra variables? Just identify from the raw data set and keep that variables into the supplementary data set. Once you done, what you do? Simply apply the attribute sections, means the labels and links you apply, and send this data set also into the permanent library, and the label you can give as supplemental qualifier of qualifier demographics. Okay. So main domain along with the supplementary domain. So there is no rule like mandatorily supplementary domain has to create. Extra information is available in the raw data set which is not covered into the main domain. So that time only we can create the supplementary data set. Okay. Yeah. So this is the process for across all the uh, data set creation, supplementary data set creation, irrespective of any project, anything. This is the standard procedure. Okay, you can create as a macro. So instead of copy paste, also it's fine. Okay, so many companies having the standard macros to create the supplementary, but still the backend, this is the process. What is QNAM, QLabel, QVal? So try to remember all these 10 variables. The interview people may ask you, please tell me the supplementary variable names. Study ID, R domain, use sub JD, ID where well, QNAM, QLabel, QVal, Q origin, Q evaluator. Okay. Yeah. So next we'll start with today's SE program. Okay. Subject element. So once the DM was done, so the next domain as per the order is SC domain. So why SC domain is created? Once elements were created, so whenever we created any other data set, the epoch variable, if you want to create, so this is the main domain we use to create the epoch variable for other domain. So that is why, so the interview people may test you what is the order of creation of the SDTM dataset. First trial domains, next DM, next SE, next SV. Later we can create the other domains like AECM or whatever it may be. But this is a flow. So who are working on the SDTM, those persons only know this thing. Why? Because without SE, we can't create epoch variable in other data set. Without DM, so the use of JD information we cannot create into the other domain, even the treatment information. So in the domain, the ARM and ARM CD information needs to check in the trial domain related information. So that is why this is a flow. So everything was dependent to other domains. Okay. SE. So before SE, what is SE? So elements. What are the elements there? So we have to include in the SE. So in the raw data set, so we need visit information also required. So subject visits. Okay. Here you can see the visits. So what I do, data. So SE1 set raw data set SV is simply sort by subna. And any visit number specifically they mentioned. So the date wise I just sort so that each and every subject wise dates how it is. So here you can see the first subject having around 13 records. So how it is the dates you can see. Oh, something we miss. Yeah, visit date is some subject have missing. So what I do? So I don't want to keep the visit date not equal to missing record. Here you can see first subject having the 9 records. So the order you can see first screening, next some unscheduled visit was happened to this subject. Next cycle 1 day 1, cycle 1 day 5, cycle 1 day 8, and remaining all are unscheduled visits. Okay. So in case of subject number 2 having these many records, screening, later unscheduled visit not met, so it was not planned to that subject. So screening and cycle day 1 we planned, but due to some reasons or receiving medical opinions, the subject again revisited to the clinic and asked some doubts to doubt or any emergency cases. The doctor called to the patients and deal. But cycle day 1 was planned on the particular day. Before that day, something was happened to the subject, so unscheduled visit was happened to the subject for 6th May, and next visit was 15th May. But 13th and 14th also the subject visited to that CRO or clinic. So for that purpose, we can call those are unscheduled visits, which are not scheduled as per the protocol. Okay. So now, yeah. So before that one, we created the trial element data set, right? So as per the trial element data set, the so as per the trial element, so these are the trial element. Screening, cycle 1, cycle 2, long term safety follow-up, long term follow-up. Just I copy this information and paste into here. Yeah. So before, so any data set, we have created the trial data set. In the trial data set, so we have the elements like cycle 1, cycle 2, long-term follow-up, screening, safety follow-up. These are the 5 elements are there. So we have to create that 5 elements in the subject element as well. So the first element is cycle 2 day 1. Okay. So cycle 2, cycle 1. So in the SC data set, SC1 data set, you can see cycle day 1, first infusion is there, cycle 2 also there, right? Yeah, cycle 2, day 1, first infusion also there. One minute. Yeah, first cycle. Cycle 2, day first infusion I am taking. Cycle 2, first day infusion. So, and creating the use sub JID information. So how we are creating the use sub JID information in the DM. So simply copy that information and paste it here. And now just I am keeping the this use sub JID information and this cycle 2. So cycle 2 equal to, so what is the date is there? So that date converted into the character. So the date is this date. So it is a numeric, just convert them into the character. Yeah.
Visit name, sir, spelling. Visit name 30, line 30.
Okay. Okay, use of J device we can copy. Yeah, you can see. So this subject cycle to the dates. Okay, 4, 5, 2, 1. Okay. So now the same thing you can create for the next data set SE2. Just copy this one, paste it here. This SE2. Next, follow up 30 days. Okay, so follow up 30 days. This we can give safety follow up. So as for here, you can see this is safety follow up SFUP. Safety follow up like and okay, SC2 data set. So two subject having this information. So next SC3. Like 3 day 1 infusion. Okay, cycle 3. Two subject. Now we merge these things, Now data SC4 merge the so we already created our DM domain, right? So where we stored our DM domain. So this library. So this library DM domain we merge with here dot DM. Okay. So just drop domain because that is a DM domain. It is a SC domain, right? So SC1, SC2, and SC3 by use of JD. And here the domain is SC. So now SC4 have this information. So along with the DM domain, so we have added cycle, the cycle 1. Okay, cycle 2 SFTP and cycle 3 dates we have added. What are the subject having the information? We can added this information. Okay, so now let me open the yeah, implementation guide and SC domain. What are the variable? SE. So so here subject element specification. This is a specification. So study ID domain subject sequence ID etcd element planned order of element of epoch SESTDTC ENDTC and the description. It is a permissible variable. Okay. Yeah, fine. So once we done this one, so we have to apply one by one. So first one. So as per here, you can see the screening is the first. Okay, screening or informed consent form. So how can we know? So whether the screening was done to the subject, informed consent was taken. So there is a variable yesterday we have created in the DM domain. If you remember this one, you can see RFICDTC, informed consent date taken, when the subject was given the informed consent, the date was captured in this RFICDTC. This needs nothing but, so whenever the subject screening was done, this ICF date was present. So if this date, okay, so not equal to missing, what it means, then do the element code. The element code is what the element code here. This was the element code screening. So we have to follow as per the trial domain naming convention. So that is why we created that first. Element code is this one and element. Element nothing but complete description of this element. So that is screening. Okay. So next here we need to give the order. So screening is the first, right? So I am giving the first order and here epoch is screening only. So epoch information should be in uppercase. Okay. So next the date. The date SCSTDTC we can map to this RFICDTC. Okay. So after screening, what happened? So after screening, the treatment was taken to the subject. Okay. So that is why. So this is the start date and this is the end date because after screening, I have taken next task is to take the treatment, right? So this you can take RFXSTDTC. So if RFXSTDTC not equal to missing, then this date. This end date, okay, this particular screening end date is, so this RFXST DTC you can take. So if for example the subject having the missing the RFXST DTC, so that time, so for example this activity there is no treatment directly, so we can take it as a end date. Okay, if the subject is not undergone any study or anything, so we can take like this. Okay, out and end. So this is a screening element. So first element was done. So next second element. Just copy this one, paste it here. So next element, what is the next element? So screening element was done. Next, cycle 1. Okay, cycle 1 is the first element. So how can we know cycle 1 the subject entered? So we have a RFXST Okay, so the treatment, if the subject having the information, then this is the first element, and this is the full name of this one, cycle 1. And we will give the order 2, and we can give the epoch is treatment. So this is the treatment, right? And the date, the starting date is RFXST and end date. So what is the end date? So we created this one cycle 2, right? So this cycle 2 is cycle 1 end date is cycle 2. So if the cycle 2 not equal to missing, then the end date of this cycle 1 is cycle 2. Else, to this one. If RFXST not equal to missing, then this end date we can give this one. Still the both dates are missing, then the safety follow-up date is present. So we are writing if else condition in case cycle 2 date is missing and this date also missing, then if the safety follow-up related information is available, so we can give this date as a end date for this. Still everything is missing, so directly we will give the end date is the last scene, means the participation last date of the subject date we can give. Okay, so here you can observe the cycle 1 start date is treatment start date, end date. So cycle 1 end date is cycle 2 start date. Okay, so if this date is missing, so we can take the treatment end date. If still this date also missing, so safety follow-up date we can add. If the safety follow-up date also missing, the last participation date you can add here. Okay, yeah. So now SC4 having this information. So screening and cycle 1 information we are added. So next, cycle 2, just copy this one, paste it here. Cycle 2 not equal to missing, and we will give this as cycle 2 and this as cycle 2, and this order is 3, and this is also comes under treatment only, and this is a cycle 2. Okay, next after cycle 2, what is a cycle 3 is there. Okay, yeah, here the cycle 3 is there, right? So next cycle 2, cycle 3 is there. So cycle 3 not equal to missing. So we will give the end date is cycle 3. So RFX ENDTC not equal to missing. We can give this one is SFTP same, and this one also same. And this is the cycle 2 only. Fine. Next, just copy this one, paste it here. Here next cycle 3. Cycle 3 and cycle 3, and it is a 4. This is a cycle 3. Okay. So after cycle 3, what? Directly RFX ENDTC or SFTP and this one. Okay. So next next SFTP related safety follow-up. So RFX ENDTC not equal to missing. So that is a safety follow-up, means the treatment was ended here. Okay. So safety follow-up and the label is safety follow-up. When the follow-up started, so once the treatment was ended, so that is why ENDTC treatment ended not equal to missing, and this is a 5 and this is safety follow-up in uppercase. So during the treatment, how many treatments are there? The epoch is treatment. So epoch is nothing but screening phase, treatment phase, follow-up phase. So that is a project wise. So coming to the elements, each and every project. So what are the individual components like? So cycle 1, cycle 2, cycle 3, like visits. Okay. Safety follow-up and this end date is RFX ENDTC is the start date and end date is SFTP safety follow-up and if it is missing end date. Okay. So finally long-term follow-up. So this SFTP STF up not equal to missing long-term follow-up up to 6 months. Okay. If the subject is still not recovered, still we are following that we can call it as long-term follow-up. So LTF up and the label is long-term follow-up and you can give the number 6 and epoch is long-term follow-up. The start date is this one. So directly we can give the end date is the last participation date. Okay. So now you can see the SC4 data set of any subject. So if you see the first subject, so start date you can see 2nd May and 8th May. So the next treatment 8th May to 15th and safety follow 15th to this. So epoch is truncating and element also truncating. So to avoid this truncation issues, simply we mentioned the length statement, length of element and epoch. You can see. Just keep the variables which are there in the implementation guide. Study ID, domain, use sub JID, sequence variable also required variable, and this also required variable, and element permissible even though we have created order also permissible. We have given the order as per the elements and epoch also we have added and start date end date is expected variable. So in the SE, so the end date is next element start date. Okay. So try to remember. So here you can see this subject. So screening, cycle 1, safety follow-up. The next subject also screening, cycle 1, safety follow-up. This subject has long-term follow-up also. The dates you can see. So this 15th 5 is start date for next element. This 22 May is start date for next element. 24, 24. So there is there is no gap because whenever we are adding this epoch information across all other data set, so what is the date is there? The date we need to check in the start date and end date, and the epoch was applied to the other data set. So that is why. So the next end date of the first element, start date of the next element. Okay. So 1 minute, I'll back. Yeah, sorry. So yeah. So like this, we need to create the subject element data set. Once we done, so what is the pending variable? Sequence variable. So the sequence variable, how to create? So any sequence variable time, just go to the first pages of the implementation guide. So there is one chart here. Yeah, here this chart. So in this chart, so you have to check your data set. So subject element. So what is the keys? So this is the keys. So you need to sort your data set by these keys. And after that one, you have to apply the sequence number. Okay. So data SE5 set SE4 by this one if first dot u sub JID, then the sequence number SE sequence number equal to 1, else SE sequence plus 1. So just assign the sequence number, means how many records are there, that many records we have to give the numbering. For example, this subject has 3 records, so we need to give 1, 2, 3. Okay. And this subject having 4 records, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that sequence number we need to apply. So once we done the sequence number, so we will apply the attribute section. Attribute nothing but labels and length we need to apply, and send into the final data set into the permanent library after applying the attributes. So here attribute section, labels and length you can apply. Then so if you are writing the return statement, what happened? So the order we will see same order in the final data set. Okay. So SU5, and so this is the subject element data set. The label is subject elements. You can see study ID, domain, subject. The subject also you can see cycle 1 screening. Oh, something we missed out. So order also we have to. Otherwise, it is going as a alphabetical order. So why it is alphabetical order? It is CD. Okay, it is going like this, but it should be. Now we can see it is a correct order. First screening, next cycle 1, next follow. Okay, the dates also you can see 2nd May, next 8th May, next 15th May. So 8th May is the last date for the screening. 15th May is the last date for the treatment. So next subject like this, next subject like this. If you see, okay, we'll understand. Okay, subject element start date, subject element end date. The element of the first subject, the first record, that is the next record for the same subject. Okay. Likewise, so we have to first create the subject element data set. Once the DM was done, then we will go for the SV data set later. So SE, SV done along with the DM, then we'll proceed to the other domain. Why? Because trial domains are important to reference of this SE and SV. Demographic data set arm related information was also there in the trial domain, and demographic related RFST, DTC, ENDTC information was to is useful for the creation of this element. So SE is depending on the DM, SE, SV are depending on the trial domain. So that's why trial domains created first. Later, this is order DM, SE, SV, then other all SDTM data sets. Okay. This is for today's class about SE. So tomorrow we will discuss SV dataset, and if time permits, we'll go for the other dataset as well. Okay. Yeah. Anybody having any doubt, you can unmute and ask me now. Okay. So we'll meet you tomorrow to discuss SV. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice
Sir,
day.
I
Yeah,
have a
tell me.
question.
Yes, sir.
Not today's class, sir. I have a question in inclusion exclusion criteria raw data
Okay.
set, sir.
Let me open
I
the.
in the raw.
Mm,
So we have like discussed about like IE, Y, yes or no, right, sir?
yes.
So for 12, the line, the record 12,
Mm,
so it is no, right?
yeah.
So there is something that I didn't understand here. Is the subject excluded previously or something? I think there is one column like this subject was excluded once and then again included, something like that.
Is there a so inclusion criteria and inclusion criteria 7. So the
So
subject
this
was
this is previous underscore DEC, sir.
this description,
You
right?
go to 3 left from there.
Okay. So 1 minute. This is the subject number 74002 and this one. Let me check with the DM. This subject only. Okay. So this subject not taking any treatment, only ICF date is there and the subject is ended. So this subject was not included in the study. So the reason they mentioned here. Okay. So
Yeah,
there
but
are,
my
yeah,
question is there is this column.
mm,
So
this
the
column,
fourth column. No, you go 3 left, sir. 3 left.
the variable name, any variable.
ISPREV SF_DEC.
This one.
Yes, sir. So what is that variable, sir? If you click on that,
Yeah, let me check. Was the subject previous screen fail?
yeah.
So
So
means the subject, I think 2 times the screening was done. Otherwise, any previous study was
why
the
is
subject
like that, sir? Like I thought, like I
yeah, yeah,
screen
one
fail will
minute.
be one time only.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
that I didn't
what
understand.
happened? So what is inclusion criteria 6 and inclusion criteria 7? So the subject was a previous screen fail. Okay, so yeah. So sometimes what happened? So the screening was done. Okay, so they thought that the subject is a screen fail. So the reports went to the doctors. Okay, so the doctor will check all the reports. So due to some reason, where as per the protocol, we excluded that subject as a screen fail. But the doctor said that the subject is okay. So due to some laboratory parameter, we are excluding that subject as a screen failure. But the doctor said, okay, this parameter for this subject, so this is acceptable. Like that, if tell, so then again they will rescreen. Okay, so they again will rescreen sometimes, but exactly I don't know what happened in this column. So let me check, go through this CRF once again. So how the process of collection of the screening. Okay, so I will go through this one. Even I am not aware exactly how the collection was happened to this subject or this CRF of screening process. Let me check this one. Okay. Oh, this was not there. Yeah. Yeah. Did the subject meet all the eligibility criteria? So first the doctor will check this one, yes or no. If screen failure is no selected. Was a subject was previous screen failure. Please indicate below which section was not met criteria. Okay, was the subject was previous screen fail. Okay, so I'll go through this one, again into protocol and other documents. So what is this section? Why they included this one? And if for some subjects what happened, so one study was done, so the same subject moved to the other study, means other parent study of the same molecule. So once that time the subject was screen failure, again the all the subject rescreening into the next study. So that time this type of columns may added. So this was not impacting, but still okay, I'll again check with this protocol and any other specific documents are there for the study. So I'll get back you tomorrow. Okay, please remind me tomorrow once class timing. Otherwise, I'll make a note in the tracker sheet so that I will remember what is this variable, why the column was included. Okay, let me put a star. Any mail communication related to this or any protocol specific information there. So I'll check and get back in tomorrow's class. Okay, before starting SB, we'll discuss this thing. Thank you. Thank you so much for
sir,
this.
could you please
Yeah,
upload the ACRF, sir?
it is not there.
No, sir.
Okay, I will upload. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you guys. We'll meet you tomorrow. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.